All right, so in this tutorial, I'm going to do a quick overview of how we took an existing template. It was kind of a meet the team template where you can meet different team members. And then we're going to convert that to something that has some gamified principles or elements to that. So let's look at the original template. The way that's designed is I'm going to meet the team, and then I've got these different team members. As I click on a team member, I can collect some information and close it, and then I can continue and meet all the team members. So this was the existing template, and this is something we may run into at work. We have some existing content. It's not a bad exploration activity, right? Because I can collect information. What we want to do is use that ability to collect information. So you can explore, you can collect. Somewhere in the process, we want to add some risk. We want you to assess if the information you collected is valuable or not, and we want you to use that to make a decision. So let's look at how we modified this template. So let me come back here. So let's look at the gamified template. We're still going to use that core structure. So what we want to do here is we're going to interview the people. So that's the meet the team structure that we get out of the box. What we want to do, though, is as we interview them, is we want to collect the information. That'll go into a notebook that we see up here, right? So you're going to interview them. If you think what they give you is important, you can go ahead and hit this collect button, and that'll load up that information in the notebook. And then somewhere else in the activity, you would have access to that. The key is that you want to interview people, and we want to add some risk in there. As you interview people, some interviews are good interviews, some are bad. You need to know to make the right decision. That's part of the learning process. And then as you make decisions, you're going to get points assigned. And if you exceed your points, security is going to come and escort you out the building. So in a real activity, this is just a mocked up activity, but in a real activity, part of the learning process is who should I ask, who should I get information from, who should I not bother, and then that adds some risk to that. And the more correct people you ask, the more information you can collect. If you ask the wrong people and you get escorted out of the building, or the interview process is stopped, then you have less information to make an informed decision. So what we did here is, if we start this, we're still using the meet the team structure. We're still going to click, but when you click, you're going to get some information. So we'll assume something happened. You need to interview people and find out what happened, what information you need, and then you need to determine if the information's important or not. And then somewhere in an activity, which we don't have built out in this demo, somewhere in the activity you would use that information to make a decision. So what we did here is we kept the meet the team structure to click and collect information. What we did is we added a progress bar. So you have 10 potential people that you can interview. So we have the progress bar here, and that's keeping track of how many interviews you've completed. And all we're using is a variable that's counting that. And then each interview is assigned a point value. So you get up to 12 points. So some of them, like you click the ones down here, they're worth like 2 points. So you can collect more interviews. If you get to people who are, let's say, more important or don't want to be bothered, or maybe they have something to hide, really just depends on how you set it up, you're going to get, like this will give you 10 points. So you can only interview probably 2 people before you get escorted out. So let's look at how this works. We'll click on Brian first. So when I click on Brian, you can see Brian's giving me information. Really doesn't matter what it is for this mock-up. I think it's important. I'm going to go ahead and collect that. You can see I'm tracking that I've already had one interview. If I close this and I go to the notebook now, you can see that here's the information I collected from Brian. And somewhere in that process, I'll use that information to make a decision. The learning process is, who should I interview? That's part of it. And then the other part is, what information is important. There may be some distractors in the way I present the information. And then we'll go ahead and click through here, collect that, do this here, and you can see I can go on. Now I messed up something on the progress meter, but this should show 2. Let me click on one more person here, and it's showing 3 here. We're going to close that, and we're going to go ahead and click on here. You can see I interviewed her, but I didn't collect the information. So you can see how that structure works. And if I click on someone who's not the right person. We'll go ahead and collect that. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I went over the points. Now I have 4 people that I interviewed. It's going to say you only talked to 4 people. Hopefully you have enough information, but I went over the point totals. So that's kind of how that works. So as you can see, if we go backwards here, the way the course structure works is that I have point values assigned, so that adds some risk. As a learning experience, I have to know what information I need to collect. So I have to have some idea of what's going on. I need to determine what information is important, what's not important, and collect that. And then there's that sense of risk and the exploration that we added in here. And then when it's all said and done, I have this kind of learning journal, and I can use this information later in my course. Maybe these are some clues or things I can use in my scenario. So these might be HR people giving you some tips, or coworkers, however you want to structure that. Hopefully this is something you can use, and it gives you some ideas how you might be able to modify an existing template on your own.